Hey guys, it is Elliot here with another stream. This is actually one of my first streams, but we are going to be flying today from Oakland in California to Salt Lake City, all the way in Utah. It's a relatively short flight, and the weather isn't too bad, so this is a little bit of a learning opportunity for me to learn more about how to stream and how the Zibo mod works here in X-Plane 11, and also to take you along with me. So hope you enjoy it. We are going to go ahead and hop right into our checklists and get going. Full disclaimer, I am not a real pilot, commercial pilot. I do fly small planes for fun. But the rest I've learned through YouTube and reading and things like that. So I won't be following the checklists perfectly. I've got a kind of concise checklist that I like to use, but hopefully that gets us where we need to go. So we can go ahead and start by getting our battery on, and we can connect to our ground power, which I should actually connect to GPU in order to do that. And then we're going to go ahead and get our battery and our ground power set up, and then we will go ahead and start lining up our IRS systems here. Great. All right, and then we can also make sure our emergency exit light is on, and I will make sure I'll turn on some of my exterior lights here.
We'll be taking off in just a few minutes. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin.
And we can go ahead and throw our window heat on. And from there,
cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Let's go ahead and get our FMC loaded. We are here at Oakland International Airport in the Bay Area. It's an airport I've actually flown in and out of as a passenger relatively frequently. The company I work for is based there, and so that's been kind of fun to be able to check that out. Alright, let's see, what else do we need to do here. We can go ahead and turn on our trim air. And we'll go ahead and make sure our isolation valve is open. Got our recirc fans on. I'll turn our packs on, get a little bit of air going. And our engine bleed is on. So let's take a quick look at our flight plan here. This is our Lido flight plan, and we are going to be taking today a block fuel of 7.3 tons, which is, or I think that's tons, 1,000 kilograms, and that's because we've got basically a full payload, so we need that 7.3 or 7.4, I'll round it up, to sustain our 21.1 payload. So let's go ahead and request that fuel. Payload is already set, and 7.4 on the fuel. And we can go ahead and start our flight leg and get our fuel truck called to start fueling the aircraft, which you can see is now happening. Great. All right, so we are working our way along. Got our fuel requested. And from there, I also want to set our cruise altitude, so let's take a look at what that's going to be. Looks like, according to the flight plan, we will be flying at a lovely 35,000 feet. So I'll go ahead and set that up in here, if I can go the right direction. 35,000, and then Salt Lake City in Utah is at a 4,230 feet elevation. So we'll get that set up for the pressurization here. 4,000, where are we? 250. That will do. Sweet. All right, so we are good to go there. And we can turn our fasten seatbelt sign to auto. And then let's go ahead and get our route set up. So it's going to be in the FMC here. So again,
fasten seatbelt sign. Please recheck the security of your seatbelt.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to Salt Lake City, and we're going to be departing runway 30 here in Oakland. And then we can start to look at our routes. So I know we're doing 3-0. We're going to do this Hush 2 departure. And then from there, it looks like we are... let's see. Hush 2 to Mogi. And then from there, it looks like we're doing the Quebec 124 airway. I think that's an airway. Let's find out. Cool. Quebec 124 to Bravo Victor Lima. And we're going to do the Watts 5 arrival. Let's see which version I have loaded on here. And it looks like we're doing the runway 17. So ILS 17. And the Watts 4 arrival. That'll do. And I'm just going to take a little sneak peek at the legs here to see what we're doing in terms of... Looks like Watts 5, Roy, Lope, Quippa. Do we have any of those? Well, we'll just go straight to. That's fine. Doesn't matter. It's all good. Alright, so we're going to be flight number Delta Alpha Lima 1, 2, 3. And we'll go ahead and activate that. And then we can go and get our performance numbers set up. So let's go ahead and check what our fuel reserves are going to be on this sector. So it looks like 1.85 to get to Twin Falls, which is the alternate, and then a final reserve of 1.1. So 1.1 plus 1.9 is 3. And we can grab our cost index, which for this sector, I think we're going to do 5. Alright, and then our cruise altitude, already set that, it's 350. So we'll throw that in. And we might as well go ahead and put in things like our cruise wind. So let's look at what the wind is at the top of climb on our flight plan here. Top of climb, 267 at 131. That's a pretty stiff wind. And then our ISA deviation there, I think is, temperature deviation is +5. So put 5 degrees in there. Great, so we can go ahead and execute that. Our outside air temperature right now is a 14, so we'll put /14. And I'm going to assume we can do a, I'm going to do this 24K D-rate takeoff. I really need to get the thing that lets you actually check that properly. But as you can probably tell, I have not done that. This is just different sort of power limits. So helps you be more economical, but because we are pretty heavy and the runway at Oakland is long, but it's not super long, it's about 10,000 feet, I'm just going to leave it at the 24K mark. I think that'll be fine. So flaps 5, center of gravity is 5.01, which is probably not too far from what we have set here, so let's go ahead and just spin that down. There's 5.01 right about there. And that's going to give us some V speed, so 150 is going to be our V2 speed, which we'll set on the autopilot there. And that's about all we need to do. The rest is just a matter of waiting for the IRS to align, which it's already done, which is good. So you can kind of see, looking at the departure, let's take a quick look at that. We're going to be doing this Hush departure, which I'm wondering why that's called the Hush departure. So we're going to climb a heading of 296. So we'll go ahead and set that here and get our bank angle limit set to. So 296, and we're going to climb to at or above 520, which you can see is set in there. And then we're going to turn direct to Hush. And we're going to the Mogi intersection, or transition. And then on the depicted route, maintain flight level 190. We're going to pretend that we get our cleared altitude. So we could set 520 in here if we wanted. I'm just going to put 19,000 because I know we won't hit that 520 altitude anytime soon. So we don't really need to worry about that too much. But it looks like we're going from Hush to Night, which you can see, and then Rebus at or above 8,000, and then to Moji right there. So that's going to be our departure. And then we'll brief the arrival as we get a little bit closer to Salt Lake City, but it looks like there aren't any issues there from a setup perspective. So that takes care of route, performance, and all that good stuff. We can go ahead and grab the weather here in Oakland. So let's go ahead and grab our departure ATIS, digital ATIS. It's 133.775, I think. So we'll get 775 and then go down to 133. Let's listen to that.
Metropolitan Oakland INTL information Mike. 1900 Zulu weather. Wind 240 at 6, visibility 10. Sky conditions 1000 few, 3000 broken, 5000 overcast, temperature 14, dew point 11.
Alright, so that's about all we need there. We got our altimeter setting. It's kind of a typical cloudy day here in the Bay Area. Not to worry, at least we are departing and not arriving here. So we can go ahead and get our APU started now as we're kind of getting ready to go. I'm going to actually turn all my fuel pumps on. And we haven't got any fuel in the center tank today. We are done fueling, so we can put our seatbelt sign on as well. APU bleed is off. Let's go ahead and get our APU started. Let's hold that for 3 seconds.
The captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. Please recheck the security of your seatbelt.
And I will go ahead and we've got our flight legs started, so that is good to go. I'll go ahead and put our position light on, anti-collision light on, all that good stuff as well. That sort of quietens up people in the back, I have found, which is good. Alright, so let's go ahead and pre-plan our pushback. So we're eventually going to want to make our way down to runway 30, which is all the way over here. And in order to do that, I think what's actually going to be best is if we could get the pushback guy to give us a nice little U-turn here. I'll just save us a little bit of time, be a little bit of a quicker pushback. So I'm going to have him go this way.
Round to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Cool. So then just a few other pre-flight items. Looks like we've got our APU generator available. So let's go ahead and switch to that, get our APU bleed on. And we can change this to battery and APU and generator. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and turn our GPU off. And a few last items. We want to get our flight directors turned on. We've got our auto throttle off, which is what we want right now. We've got our speed set up. We've got our climbing turn that we're going to be doing set here. Then we'll go ahead and get our altitude. We've also got that set, 19,000 en route to 35,000. And then our fuel flow, I could also go ahead and reset that and rate it. I don't know how to get it to do the rate. I think that's just where it's meant to be. It's all good. Alright, and then from there we could set our minimums. So our altitude here in Oakland is rather low. It is a elevation of 9 feet. So I'm actually just going to set my radio minimums to 1,009 feet. So let's go ahead and do that. Cool. And that would be basically our minimum flat retraction altitude if we were to lose an engine on departure, which I do not anticipate. Cool, so got that done. Landing gear lever is down, speed brake lever is down, thrust lever is closed, engine start levers are in the cutoff position. Parking brake is set, I just saw that, and then our yaw damper we can also turn on. Great. And our passengers are boarded, so let's go ahead and doors closed. Great. So we are basically ready to push back. So let's go ahead and call for that.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Alright, a lot of people standing out on the ramp today. Guess they're just hanging out, seeing what they want to see. But yep, Oakland Airport, got some hills here, and then kind of the San Francisco Bay there. You can see San Francisco off in the distance over here. But we're going to do a nice little U-turn and then head just straight to runway 30 right over there. Going to turn that caution off for now. So he should be connecting in a moment here.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Alright, he's going to connect, and we should see him lifting us up here at the nose of the aircraft. See him pulling up into position around the nose wheel there. I'll close his little doors here. And then he will actually lift our nose wheel up so that he has control. Kind of a cool design for a pushback cart. I guess the older setup was to have them kind of set with you know, a little bar, and they connect and kind of push you that way. But this gives them a little bit more control.
And bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
All right, that goes parking brake. There goes our jet
Starting
bridge.
pushback, and you may start engines.
All right, so we are good to start our engines. So we will turn our packs off. And I'll get my right engine going first. Cool, so we've got our N2 spooling up. Again, we're looking for about 25% on the N2 fan there. And then we'll go ahead and spin up from there. 23, 24, and there we go. That's some fuel. Let's take a look outside. You can hear it spinning up. Great. Engine looks good. Got good fuel flow, good temperatures, all that good stuff. Go ahead and turn on the other engine now. About 12%, 13. And I'm looking right here for that number. 21, 22, 23, 24, and away we go. Let's take a look outside again. Awesome. And I actually forgot to turn my electric hydraulic pumps on, so we'll get those going there. Alright, so it looks like we got two good starts.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Alright, let's go ahead and set our parking brake for our pushback guy, and then we'll just kind of continue here.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So we'll switch to the engine generators there. And then I can go ahead and put my oscillation valve to auto, get my packs back on. I can turn my probe heat on. And I can also make sure my APU bleed comes off and my APU comes off. And we can turn our lights up too. Why don't we do that? There we go. Sweet. So we just do a quick kind of scan through here. Got our yaw damper on, got our fuel pumps on where we have fuel. Got our generator set up correctly. We've got our buses on the
Echo is
engines.
disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the left. We'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
Alright, so he's going to be moving out our way. Just going down here, everything looks good. Got our seatbelt sign on. We've got our window heat on. Probe heat is on. We'll leave our anti-ice off for now. We've got our hydraulic pumps all turned on. And then our recirc fans are also in auto. Packs are in auto. Isolation valve auto. Our AP bleed is off. We're using our engine bleeds. And our lights also look good. So I think... can recall, got no errors or cautions on our master caution there, which is always nice to see. So before taxi, the other thing we could also do is turn on our taxi light and our turn off lights. And I could set our flap to 5 and hope that we have some power. Let's turn our parking brake off too there. Alright, so we're going to just pull ahead and go to the right to kind of get our initial time going here. Sweet. So feel free to ask questions if you have any. I'm not sure if anyone's watching this live stream. Guessing people might be watching the replay of this video in the comments a little bit later, which I will definitely make available. But it's been kind of fun to get to know this mod and this aircraft. Definitely learned a lot. There's a lot of great resources out there, which I've been using to just kind of learn how to fly the aircraft. And I'm definitely not an expert, but I've been trying to at least kind of have a basic understanding of how things work. So that's kind of what we've been up to. So we'll just kind of go down here to the end of the runway. Alright, there we go. Whoops, try and stay centered on the taxiway here. That's what happens when I get a little bit distracted. Whoops, there we go. Alright. So, no real rush here. I think we're gonna try and take that second taxiway to have the full length available to us for the runway. But this is actually a flight that I've done in real life, at least as a passenger. But yeah, it's a good, pretty quick flight, probably under an hour, I'm hoping, all the way. But yeah, it's just pretty comfortable. Alright, let's just pull up here, hold ourselves, get our before takeoff items done. So, we are going to go and make sure our engine start switches are in the continuous position. And we're going to go ahead and also make sure that our taxi light is off. We can turn our turn off lights off, turn our landing light on, and also make sure our TCAS system is in the TARA position. There we go. Heading bug I'm going to have set to the heading that we expect to climb out with, which is 296 until 520 feet when we'll get our turn going. So we can go ahead and turn that on there. And I think that's about all we need to do. We could turn VNAV and LNAV on, although they may disconnect. And our auto throttle most certainly needs to be on so that we can get our climb power going. Sweet. Let's go ahead and move ourselves forward here a little bit. Alright, some weird runway end lights there, just kind of in the middle of everything. Alright. So that should be good to go. Whoops. Alright. go and line up on the runway here. Alright, so we would normally go to about 40% of N1 to check the engines are good. Unfortunately, my auto throttle doesn't play very nicely with the toga button, so I have to cut the power and then press the toga button. So that's what I'm going to do here. So toga, and we are rolling. Right. So engines are looking good. Just zoom ourselves in. Got some other traffic around us, but I think that's just some of those parked aircraft over there. Keeping ourselves centered on the runway here. Coming up to our rotation point.
V1 rotate.
There we go. Slowly bring ourselves up to about 12 degrees. Bring our gear up. And we're looking for that 296 heading. Just make a slight turn to get that.
400.
Alright, so we are climbing nicely here. Sweet. So that's 520 feet. We could continue our turn to Hush.
1000.
So I'll go ahead and set that up. Engage our autopilots and start to bring my flaps up as we accelerate. See the bay here in front of us. So we'll go ahead and bring our flaps to flaps 1. And then we'll bring our flaps all the way up so that we can accelerate. And we're looking good. So we're about 400 feet, so we could put our gear back there. I forgot one important thing, which is the RTO setting on the auto brake. Don't tell anyone. Alright, and then I guess I only had one of the engine starts in continuous mode, but that's alright. These are the kind of mistakes I make so that the real pilots don't have to. Cool, so we're climbing out nicely. See the Emeryville, Oakland kind of area. I don't think we'll get much of a view of downtown, unfortunately. But we are looking pretty good here. Climbing nicely. And I always forget my clock. There we go. So I'm noticing, looking at the preview of my stream, the ETA is not showing up properly up here. I'm not sure if that's an issue with my dispatcher or not. I've had some issues with this, just getting it to work, but we'll just kind of leave it. You know where I'm going. I can give you an update on how long it's going to take. So if we go to the progress page, looks like 21:29, so about an hour 15 to get to Salt Lake City. But climbing out, things look good. Our flaps are up, auto brake is off, our landing gear is in the off position, engine start switches are in the auto position, and we're not going through any clouds, so we don't need to worry about the anti-ice, even though we're below 10 degrees Celsius for the total air temperature. So we just kind of work our way over some of these waypoints, and I'm going to pretend we've been given a climb all the way to our cruise altitude of 35,000 feet. There we go. So we're above 10,000 feet. We can go ahead and turn our landing light off. Don't know why. Oops. Those are good. I thought our runway lights were off, but they are good. Actually, this should be in the strobe steady position. You can see all the mistakes I'm making here. And the next thing we'll do, when we get to 18,000 feet, we will set our barometric pressure to the standard setting. That's just something we do when we cross that altitude. Let's climb out on a cloudy day here in Salt Lake City, or in Oakland on the way to Salt Lake City. Cool, so we're off Oakland. Looks like we are working our way towards our top of climb. A little bit of a slower climb performance today, just given the heavy payload that we have. Thought it'd be fun to fly completely full. It just makes for a little bit more of an interesting kind of setup. It's gonna be a good flight. Can show you on the map of where we are. Just going over the kind of Richmond area, which is in the Bay Area, just northeast of San Francisco. So San Francisco is down here. Oakland Airport is kind of over here where we took off, and we just did kind of a big turn. And then we're just going to keep working our way all the way over to the mountains, and we'll cross some of those mountains and then head over into Salt Lake City. Good old Utah. And I zoomed a little bit far out, but there you go, you can see the Great Salt Lake. It is, I have to say, one of the best approaches and one of the most beautiful kind of scenic approaches flying into Salt Lake City. As a passenger, it's just like incredible. You get the lake, and then you get mountains, and you're in this valley. It's just really kind of interesting to be part of that and see it. So hopefully we have some good views and good weather on our way into Salt Lake City. Looking at our flight plan and the weather, it's saying we're going to be broken at 400 feet and overcast at 500 feet. Oh no, 4,000 and 5,000. So that should mean we get at least some views potentially as we go into Salt Lake City. We'll have to see. But it's interesting. I think we have to take a lot of extra fuel on this flight for the alternate. So the alternate here is the Twin Falls Airport, which is in Idaho, just to the north of Salt Lake City, which is a decent distance from Salt Lake City itself. So I think that's why we're so heavy today. So we can go ahead and put our standard pressure in. Can set up our backup artificial horizon as well, and I can just click it to do that. Makes it a little bit easier. We are making good progress towards our top of climb, and then we'll be continuing on to top of descent and into the Salt Lake City area. So as we're doing that, we could go ahead and look at our arrival that we're going to be doing here. So going to be doing the, I think it's the Watts arrival. Let's see if I got that right. Cool, so going to be running runway 17. So I think we are, let's see where we're going on our legs here. So we got Sloan Fast, and then Bravo Victor Lima, which is this Bonneville, which is the first waypoint. So it'll be Bonneville, and then Knoll. There's a hold here if we had to do that, if it was busy. Then we go Watts, and you can see all that's in with a 14,000 feet elevation restriction. Then we'll be going to Dougie, which is for the south runways. So that's going to be going to Dougie at 12,000, which I think we have, and then Slog. And then from Slog, we will, let's see where we go from there. What does it say? Slog to Roy. And then a heading of 344 departing Roy, and then we'll get vectors to our approach course. And if we go to our flight plan here, we can just kind of step through and see what that looks like. So if we step through, Slow and fast. You can see Bravo Victor Lima, Knoll, Watts, Dougie, Slog, all the way to Roy. And then if I zoom ourselves in here, basically going to be making a big turn to Prize, which is the first waypoint on the instrument approach. So we could pull that up too. I think it's this. Is it this file? No, it's the airport diagram. Is it this guy? Nope. Did I not download it? I guess I did not. Let's go ahead and grab the ILS for runway 17 because we're going to need it shortly. Save that. I'll move the screen here. Let's go back in. There it is. All right. So yeah, so this drops us, and then we have to find this Prize waypoint. Can we see it? Yep, right here at about a 12-mile final. And Prize, they want us above 7,500 feet, which I think we have set up. This actually says 7,500 or below. Let's see if I can change that to 7,500 above. I've had some trouble setting these before. Looks like it worked. And then TIFL is 6,000 or above, so we could actually change that too. Alright. And then the runway itself at 4,277 feet. 227, sorry. For some reason this says 4,277. Let's go and see if we can change that too. There might be a reason for that. I wonder if it's meant to be 50 feet above. I'll just round it up. Cool. So we're making our way. But yeah, we should have a pretty good kind of approach from Roy here. We'll kind of get a turn going. We may even, depending on how we're feeling, cut the corner there a little bit. So we'll just kind of see where we want to fly into. So again, making pretty good progress here. I'm going to put that back on the map and just kind of see. We could, if we wanted, cheat, and we could fly direct to the fast waypoint. Why don't we go ahead and do that just to shave a few minutes off. So we go fast. Bring that up to the top of the FMC, and there we go. Should see a nice little turn starting there. Perfect. So, still climbing here. Again, not a great performance for climbing just because of the pretty heavy payload, but we have a real nice tailwind here, about 100 knot tailwind. It's giving us a ground speed of a whopping 527 knots. It's going to make for some quick flying all the way over to Salt Lake City. Sweet. Alright, so we are working our way over. So crossing 30,000 feet, we could probably turn our seatbelt sign off. It doesn't seem particularly turbulent, and I could almost make my level off announcement, but we'll leave that for now. Gives us something to do later. Cool. About an hour, 2 minutes to go from this point. So the crew will be starting some meal service, hopefully, or drink service at least, which would be good. So I'm noticing now, looking at the preview, that we do have an ETA. I think that is set against the current time, and I've actually time shifted this flight a few hours in the past so that it was a daytime flight and not a nighttime flight. But I'm just gonna check. If I look at our current UTC time, it is, let's see, 4:59 a.m. So that sounds about right for an ETA. See, we're still climbing there to 35,000 feet. But a awesome ground speed. It's making us get over there real quick. So you can also just look at our pressurization panel. It looks like it's all fine. It's working. Capping altitude is good. And our differential pressure is looking good. So about 2,000 feet to go until our top of climb. All systems are looking good. At some point I will probably pluck up the courage to fly on the VATSIM network. VATSIM is a online network where you can talk to people who basically act as air traffic controllers. So it's pretty cool. You can have other aircraft in real life. They have different events, all that good stuff. I did actually used to fly on VATSIM probably now, I don't know, 5 or even 10 years ago when I used to fly in Flight Simulator 10, Microsoft Flight Simulator. But yeah, I should probably get back to doing that, but we'll get there eventually. Baby steps, still trying to kind of work out the kinks and figure out what's going on and how everything works. So yeah, it looks like we just got some weather redrawn on us. You saw the clouds disappear and then show up again. It does seem to happen in X-Plane. I also want to invest in some better weather plugins for the system, but I haven't got around to that quite yet. I guess we could also turn on our weather radar if we wanted. And I think we have our traffic turned on. So I can see off the nose there what look to be contrails for some other flights and other aircraft. I can see one aircraft off to my left. I think that's this guy over here. And these other guys aren't showing up quite yet, or at all. So I guess I don't have to worry about those too much, which is good. I found the traffic to be a little unpredictable in X-Plane, at least for the automatically generated aircraft. It's seems they do some weird things in the air. Not sure why they do all these climbs and descents and things like that. But anyway, we're at cruise. I'll go ahead and do the level off announcement. That's now playing in the back. Could actually, seeing as we have some time to kill, why don't we walk through the aircraft? Very slowly, apparently, because I can't go any faster than this.
A little closer. Meanwhile, please sit back, relax, enjoy the trip with us.
So, got our forward galley here. So they got some different drinks for the first class passengers. Kind of keep ourselves going back through first class. I'm sure there's a way to walk faster than this, but I have yet to figure out how to do that pressing the period key right now to move in the direction that I am, but that's alright. We'll get there when we get there. So, heading into main cabin. See what the view is like out the window. Not too bad. Seems like a pretty typical view. Nice engine view from the seat. It's probably the seat I would choose if I was flying in real life. But let's head back to the flight deck. There we go. And we should probably close the door, because, you know, that tends to be a good thing to do. Sweet, so we are now in cruise, and haven't got our descent for a while here. But what I will do is go ahead and set up our approach. So we're going to be doing the ILS, let's see, where is it at? There we go. The ILS for runway 17 at Salt Lake City. So our localizer frequency is 111.5. So I'll go ahead and just tweak this to get that. Here we go. And it looks like our course is 169. Cool. So that is also good to go. And then we could also put our digital ATIS 124.75. 1234.750. So that'll give us some weather information as we get a little closer to Salt Lake City. Again, just kind of briefing the approach, and again, I'm not an instrument-rated pilot, so I don't know how to do this properly. But we would basically just kind of look through where we're going to go. So we're going to join this approach at the prize waypoint, and then we would continue down from prize to Tiffle, and then on to runway 17 at Salt Lake City. This is actually an approach I have not flown in real life as a passenger. Normally, I feel like you come from the south and go kind of north onto the runways, like runway 35 and 34, but I guess the winds are dictating that we should do an approach from the north, so that's what we're going to do. If we were to miss our landing or have to go around, we would follow these steps. So we would do a climbing turn, looks like straight ahead to 5,800 feet, which is about 1,400 feet or 1,500 feet above the field. Then we do a climbing left turn to 10,000 feet, and then we'd head to this Foxtrot uniform VOR, the Fairfield VOR, and we would enter a hold there, and then probably get vectored back for another try. But hopefully we won't need to do that. As far as minimums, looks like our minimum decision height or altitude is 4,419 feet. I could actually, I think, set that in my radio minimums. So I'll go ahead and just do that. Curious if that's what you're meant to do. Again, I'm still kind of learning. So it doesn't look like I can actually set that. I'm guessing, let's see, is it because you need to put in a above ground level? No, looks like I need to use the barometric minima. So 4419, let's go ahead and put that in. That's probably wrong, feel free to correct me, but that's what I'm gonna do. Sweet. So we are cruising along. So yeah, that's going to be our approach to runway 17. Got our field elevation, all that good stuff. Runway 17, it looks like, is the shortest. Not quite the shortest. I guess runway 14 is the shortest runway. But 9,500 feet should be sufficient for our arrival. So at this point, I am going to just get up and stretch my legs. So I will return to the cockpit shortly. And I'm actually going to see if I can add some text to the screen. Let's see if this works. So I think this should work. If I hit OK, does it show up? Does it show up on the stream? Let's find out. Hey. There we go. So you should now see the text saying, "We will be right back" on the screen. So I'm going to leave that there until I return, probably in, let's see, how long till our top of climb. Whoops. Don't want to do that. There we go. It tends to be good not to disconnect the autopilot before you leave the aircraft to stretch. Alright, so looks like our top of descent is in about 250 miles at 2105 Zulu, so about 20 minutes from now. So I'll probably be back in 15 or 20 minutes, potentially earlier. Feel free to leave any questions or comments you have in the meantime, and I'll be back, and we'll look at those when I get back. Alright guys, we are back. Took a little break there while the plane was in cruise. Let my co-pilot do the job. But we are now just about, let's see, 3 minutes from our top of descent, which will begin our path down towards Salt Lake City. So I'm gonna see where we're at here. Take a little look at the map. Actually, let me throw my terrain on. It's be a little bit more interesting to look at. So we could just take a quick look at the map though. So we are right about here. Let's see, coming over, I think we're in Utah now. We crossed some of the mountains there and we're going to be heading into the Salt Lake City area. Again, following our arrival that we discussed earlier, so that's going to be this, let's see, is this the right one? Oh, that's our departure that we just did. The Watts, I think it's the Watts arrival. There we go. Cool. So we do want to reset our MCP altitude. So the first altitude limit we have is Watts, which will be a 14,000 foot. So I'll go ahead and set that in my descent. Great. So you can see our top of descent coming up here any moment. Awesome. And there we go. Alright, so we are now officially in our descent. So we can go ahead and put our engine start switches into continuous there. I'm just kind of monitoring system, so already wants some drag, so I'll go ahead and throw our speed brakes out. Check out what those look like out here. See them right there, deployed on the wings. And we're just about to enter Bravo Victor Lima, which you may recall is the first waypoint on our approach here. So we should be on a track of 079, which it looks like we're turning onto. And that'll take us to Knoll. And they say to expect 170 at Knoll. I'm just going to pretend we've been cleared down to 14,000. And then from there we'll take our turn through Dougie. And then up to make our big ol' U-turn. And onto our approach. So things I like to do at this point, I do like to just double check my approach frequencies and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and pull that up. So we've got 111.5 and 169, 169, 169, 111.5, 111.5. It's always good to double check instead of getting stuck. Let's go ahead and put our approach back on here. There we go. Cool. So we are heading still with a pretty nice tailwind, 115 knots. So we're just blazing down to the runway, or down to the ground. It's a chilly minus 17 Fahrenheit, or a Celsius rather, up here. Zoom out a little bit. So heading to Knoll, which will be just about 25 miles away. And if I look a little further out, see our top of descent will put us right at 14,000 at the Watts intersection. Which is great, because that's where we need to be, and then we'll go from there to Dougie at 12,000. So the other thing we could look at is what our landing configuration is going to be. Looks like we're going to do a flaps 40 landing, and 143 will be the speed for that. So, dropping down through 25,000 feet, I could go ahead and get my descent announcement going there. I like to turn on the seatbelt sign at about 15,000 feet, if not a little bit before that. Make sure folks are sitting down where they should be. So a nice economical descent here. You can see we're basically at idle power for the engines, so very little thrust being produced. That's saving us a lot of fuel because we have a nice low fuel flow of 18 or 0.18 rather. So this flight has been a little bit longer than I expected. I always forget this flight tends to be a little over an hour versus under an hour, but hopefully you found it enjoyable. Hope you enjoyed the pre-flight and the setting up of all the systems, that good stuff.
Salt Lake City INTL
And we're getting our weather.
information,
Let's
India.
check that out.
2000 Zulu weather. Wind 150 at 7, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 4000 broken, 6000 overcast, temperature 5, dew point 1. Altimeter 2987. Arriving runways 16 left, 16 right, 17, 14, departing runways 16 left, 16 right, 17, 14.
Cool.
Advise on initial contact.
So we got some ceilings of 4,000 feet. Again, when they report weather there, it is above ground level. So even though the airport elevation, I believe at Salt Lake City, is about 4,200 feet, that means we would have clouds at about 8,200 feet is what they're kind of calling for. And if we look at our instrument approach chart, you can see the minimum decision altitude is 4,400 feet. So we're going to be more than fine for a nice visual approach, but we'll leave the ILS on for just awareness of our surroundings. Situational awareness is always a good thing to do. So coming down through 18,000 feet almost, we'll flip back to the pressure setting that was given on that forecast there, which was 2987. I also love that you can pull the Boeing checklist out for here. I think that's so cool. Move it around, and hopefully I can put it back. How do I get it back in there? Oh no! Come on! Things you should not do at home. Well, that sucks. Should go right in there. And now everyone's screaming at me saying, you do this, you click that one button, and then it goes away. Well, I guess we might be stuck with our checklist. Let's see. Can we... what am I doing there? Don't want to click that. Normal. There we go. There we go. Of course, if I read the instructions that say, click to stow, that would not have been as big of an issue as it was. Alright, well, we blew through 18,000 feet, so let's go ahead and just set our pressure setting there. Aircraft is now slowing nicely to 2,500, or 250 knots, rather. And you can see we've got Dougie coming up, about to cross Watts. I will go ahead and set down our altitude to 12,000. Which is the restriction we have at Dougie. So we're kind of just about perfectly cross Dougie at that. I'll go ahead and turn our speed brake off too. Sweet. So that's 15,000 feet. We'll go and put our seatbelt sign in the on position. And I'll make my prepare for landing announcement. So you can kind of see the valley that Salt Lake City is in here. You've got these mountains on both sides. We're not going to get a great view of that, unfortunately, coming in. But you'll have to trust me when I say there are mountains. And we may see them as we dip below the clouds here. Looks like we're about to come up on a cloud deck. But it's 14,000 feet. That was our restriction at the last waypoint. Now we're looking at a 12,000 foot restriction at Dougie. And I'll go ahead and also get my approach here. So Dougie, then it looks like we're heading to a restriction. Let's see, one more drag. Cool, I can do that. Let's go back. Let's just take our approach plate again and got Dougie, and then after Dougie slag, and we're basically just gonna stay at 12,000 feet until we get to Roy, and then we'll begin our descent to 7,500 feet and make that turn onto the ILS. And looks like we're about to enter some clouds, and the temperature you can see is 0. So I'm going to go ahead and flip on my engine anti-ice. Still don't believe wing anti-ice is modeled properly in X-Plane. I'm not sure. I should read the release notes for the Zibo mod, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Alright, so just about to come up on our turn here. And I'll go ahead and stow our speed brakes there too. You can see we've got some terrain off to our right, which, well, you can't see it. It is there. We're going to begin our left turn to Roy, and then we'll begin our turn kind of in towards the runway. Oh, just popping out the clouds there. We're going to get a view or not. This doesn't look like it, does it? Just kind of stuck right at that, or right at that altitude. That means we can't see anything. That's all right. And looking at my preview for the live stream, I realized this area at the top that gives you all the information is a little on the large side, and unfortunately kind of blocks a lot of the view for arrival, but that's just kind of how it has to be. I could turn that off, I suppose, as we get closer, like that. Maybe that's a good thing to do. I'll leave it on for now, and if I remember, I will try and turn that off on our final approach, so you get a little bit of a better view. Cool, so crossing into Lope, which you can see is this waypoint here. Then we're going to go to Roy, and then they say a heading of 344 is what to expect. So I'll go ahead and just bug that up so we have it. And this is the point where you would start to get radar vectors from air traffic control. Let's take a look outside. Just cloud hopping. I'm actually out of the clouds right now, so you can turn the anti-ice off. But there comes Lope, and then Roy. You can see our prize waypoint, which is the waypoint on the ILS that we're going to be looking for. And we should be okay as far as terrain as well. Let that draw itself here. Most of the terrain is off to the I guess the east of us here. Don't think there's really much to the north that we need to worry about. You can kind of see that on the, I just pull up the terrain map on Avatab. So we're right now, where are we? There we are, just actually over the Great Salt Lake. And you can see this terrain here that you have to kind of worry about, but kind of clears out here until you get a little bit further north, which hopefully we're not going to be doing. So I'm going to pretend that we have been cleared to descend down to 8,000 feet, just so we can expedite this. I don't think we're going to fly all the way to Roy. It would be good if I didn't turn off my MD. There we go. Which is when you scroll, if you're moving, you can click that. So let's go ahead and drop down to 8,000 feet. Cool. That's going to put us on a decent altitude to start our turns towards Pry. Which will get us on the ground just a little bit quicker. Going to go ahead and increase our rate of descent and decrease our speed a little bit here. It's just going to help us. So we can imagine we being told to turn. Let's go ahead and say we get a heading of 070. And it can bring Prize up, which is going to be our next waypoint. Slow our descent a little bit there, just so we can get our speed down. So we're crossing the 250 mark. We can start to think about some flaps. So that's 270. We can actually continue our altitude down to 7,500. Probably just be told to hang out at 8,000. And then let's continue our turn. We'll go to a heading of, let's do 130. You can see our localizer is coming in, which is good. If we go to Avatab to our instrument approach, see that matches IBNT, and our distance makes sense, so we're all good there. So what that actually means is we could start to think about arming our approach, as we're going to be leveling off here. So I'll put our approach arm on. We should start to see our lateral and vertical guidance come alive. I'm also going to drop in flaps 5, turn our speed brake off. And you can see our lateral guidance coming in. We've got our VOR localizer engaged. I'm just waiting on our glide slope, which will be a little bit later. Actually came in a little bit quick here, so that's all right. So again, our final approach point Tiffle, and and we can go and just check our speed. So again, 143 is going to be our final approach speed that we're looking for. I'll get that set up as we get just a little bit closer here. I could put my landing gear down though. And we are going into some clouds. Let's just turn our engine anti-ice on. Again, no real view of Salt Lake City other than these hills that look rather ominous. And I will go ahead and turn off our overlay here so you can kind of see where we're going into Salt Lake City. Landing in not too long from now. Let's see what it's saying. About 6 minutes. So you can see our glide slope is starting to come alive. I'm going to go ahead and slow down a little bit just to help us on our way there. Alright, auto brake we can also set to 2. I think that should do the trick. Take a look outside as we go through the clouds here. See you later, sun. And we have begun our descent, crossing Prize. Alright, so we are on about a 10-mile final here. And our minimum is about 4,400 feet. Well, we hopefully can see the runway by that point. And it looks like we got some rain. Let's go ahead and put our wipers on.
2,500.
Cool. Can see some ground out there. And yeah, kind of a cloudy view. That's the runway ahead of us. Nice and bright, so we can go and slow down now. Gonna put flaps 10 in. And we're gonna be looking for flap setting of 1, or a final speed rather, of 143. So let's go ahead and dial that in. So got our flaps 10 there. Flaps 15. And we'll go flaps 25. And I said we're going to do a 143 for our final flaps 40. Alright, so flaps are now set to full. Looks like the rain has stopped. One last look outside before we have to think about landing here. So yeah, you can kind of see the valley. Normally you would see it extending. Might just get an edge of the lake there. And it's decided to rain again, so I guess I'll just leave my wipers on.
1,000.
Alright, let's get our landing light on as well. It's important. And everything else looks pretty good. Alright. So we'll go and disconnect the autopilot. Turn that off, and I'll leave my auto throttle in just for a little bit. So I'm now hand flying. Got a little bit of a left crosswind. Just losing our glide slope there. Let's go and bring that back. There we go.
400.
That's coming in. Keep our descent coming in. About 300 feet now.
300. Approaching minimums.
Alright, there was our minimums where we would have had to see the runway by in order to land, which we can do.
200.
There's our minimums.
Minimums.
Continuing. Get my auto throttle off.
100.
Alright.
50. 40. 30.
Try and straighten up here.
10.
And hold her off. Hold her off. Come on. Touchdown. There we go. Good landing. Alright. deployed. Everything's looking good. Gotta get a manual braking. Let's see if we can get this taxiway here. There we go. We made it to Salt Lake City. I'll put my little overlay back on so people know where we're going. So welcome to Salt Lake City, everyone. It's kind of a fun approach in the clouds. I'm gonna go and turn these wipers off because they're annoying me. All right. And got our flaps in. And we'll cross over the runway here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that flight all the way from Oakland in California out here. It's definitely a fun one. Lots of good things to keep us busy. I definitely enjoyed it though. I hope you did too. So we'll go ahead and keep our taxi going until we get close to the airport. And I really need to look up what this beep is. I'm sure it has a good reason to be beeping. I'm sure somebody knows. So 17 kind of spits you out right at the south end of the airport here. So we're just gonna have to work our way back up towards the terminals. You can see some miscellaneous taxiways. Don't know what that is all about. I think this is going to be runway 34 right. I'm not sure though. A little bit hard to tell. Actually, kind of cut the corner here on 34. Am I right? Is it 34 right? Looks like it. Yep, 34 right. So we'll cross 34 right and work our way up towards the terminal. Cool. Try and center ourselves here. So we can just look at our after landing, got our parking brake off still actually. Position light though, we can put in the steady position, can turn our landing lights off. We can turn our terrain off. And we can turn our propane off, turn our engine anti-ice off. Stabilizer trim I'll just leave alone for now. We got that caution, I think, because we're using our reserve fuel. I'm not going to worry about starting the APU because I'm going to assume we can just connect to ground power when we get to the gate. What we could do though is shut down one of our engines to save a little fuel. So we'll turn off our number 2 engine. And I'm just going to park up at one of these gates here. Not sure if that's the gate you would normally use, but it will do us nicely. And we could also go ahead and set our transponder to standby. Let's go ahead and get our turn in here. And we're gonna just kind of head in to one of these gates. Let's go do kind of a sharp turn here. Come on, get the turn going. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I guess we're gonna do that gate. I did not plan this, as you can tell. Nice if there was a little bit more in the way of markings on the ground. Just have to give a little bit of extra power with just having that one engine going. All right, here we go. That should work. Nice. So we'll straighten up here. Got our auto gate set up. See if we can get it the first time. Come on. There we go. Stop. All right. So that is the parking brake we can set. And we can turn our fasten seatbelt sign off so folks can feverishly get up and grab their bags. We can go ahead and terminate our flight leg. We can go ahead and connect our GPU. Get our ground power set to be on. And we can go ahead and shut down that other engine. Sweet. You can hear the jet bridge coming in there. And we can turn off all of our fuel pumps, and we'll turn off our hydraulic electric pumps. And we can turn our engine hydraulic pumps off as well. And we'll turn our recirc fans off. We will also make sure all of our lights are off. There we go. Whoops. And let's see, what else do we need to do? Probably turn our packs off eventually. And we would turn our flight directors off as well in here. And that's about, I think, all we would need to do. We would be about ready to hand off the flight to the next person, so we could go ahead and leave. But thanks for flying with us. This has been fun. A good flight into Salt Lake City, Utah. Hope you enjoyed it. And leave me some comments, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good one, everyone.